everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Thread Talks, a podcast where we talk all about the fashion industry and why it might be less glamorous than you'd think, but more important than it seems. In today's episode, we are going to talk about why is the world obsessed with French fashion. The most obvious reason is the history. If we look at the history of fashion, French is the first to come around because in France, the fashion became more important much more earlier than anywhere else. The King Louis XIV started really pushing fashion as something important. He was pretty much the first trendsetter, if we think about it, because he was the one who came with different fashion rules that had to be followed, otherwise you would be laughed at and you would be looked at as someone pretty much like in the same way as today when someone's not very fashionable, we look at them as losers sometimes. Luckily, it's getting better, but maybe about 10 years ago, I think it will still be this mentality. And this is something that Louis XIV started with, same with Marie Antoinette, who's known to be the most fashionable queen. And I remember reading somewhere that apparently she was very unpopular with the common French people because she would be spending money on her wardrobe rather than on making the country better, which obviously fair enough, I wouldn't like her either. But I think this is really where it starts. And it does make sense, because if France made fashion the priority in their budget, it would be something that makes them unique, because at the time you would care more about the basic stuff you need to survive, as in food, as in clothes, yeah, actually. But I mean, you wouldn't really put money on to your looks, to looking fashionable. While today, we do have the resources, and it's not just France that spends money on fashion. It's not just French people who dress up. So why is it that in today's world, where everyone can afford fashion, well, not everyone, but majority can afford nice clothes, we still look up to French style as something unique and something not glamorous, but something very elegant? Because if you think about it, what is the French style? The first thing that comes up to my mind is jeans, white shirt, striped t-shirt, striped jumpers. That's about it. Flats maybe, or high heels, little black dress, and red lipstick, French, and parade. But that itself isn't really special, is it? It's rather comfortable and very simple, actually. And the thing is, if we put a French woman wearing jeans and white t-shirt, she's gonna look classy. While if an American woman wears t-shirt and white t-shirt and jeans, she is more like she's challenging her 2000 style or early 2000 style, or she's more lazy, she's more casual. We wouldn't think of this outfit as an elegant, it would be just something easy, which really leads me to thinking, rather than French fashion being the most stylish one, it's the wearer, is the French woman who makes it classy. And why is that? I personally believe that it's because French style and French women kind of kept the relationship with clothing for, decades, for the times before social media. Because today, there's too much of everything. In today's society, we're just looking for, the most trendy style and the trendy clothing. Okay, let's take it from a different perspective. If you ask someone who's... Hello, darkness, my old friend. If you ask someone who's not into fashion at all, and ask them what they think about street style that you see during fashion weeks, or to be fair, street style in general, most of them will laugh at the clothes because it's just weird. It's very extravagant, and it's often not something you would just wear to work, is it? And I think this is what distinguishes French style, because French style is just quick, it's simple, it's comfortable, and it's something you can wear on day-to-day basis. And I think it's the attitude of French women who kind of stayed true to what she knew from her mom, from her grandma, from her great-grandma, just being effortless, just being herself. I remember hearing from a French woman, it was an interview with a French woman, and she was saying that French people still like to go shopping. It's like a family thing to just, go to a shopping mall or to just go shopping on Sunday. And this is something we don't really do anymore because most of the people, myself included, prefer online shopping for multiple reasons. It's easier, you don't have to go out. But I think French people still have the relationship with fashion, the one that stayed the same throughout many generations, and that's what makes them different. And as I said, I really think that the elegancy of French style is coming from French women rather than from the clothing itself. And I've noticed this in another trend that we recently have, which was Slavic makeup. Now, as a Slavic woman, I was very surprised when this came about because I was like, well, I didn't expect myself to be trending. And I have to say, it's quite weird because suddenly something that you've been doing your whole life becomes a trend. However, the Slavic makeup trend, I know this is not fashion, but fashion and beauty, obviously, it's very closely linked. But the Slavic girl makeup was essentially the same thing as the cold girl makeup, which we had last winter. And my favorite thing about that was the Slavic women in comment sections of under every video, where we all were saying, or all of them, but I agree with that, were saying how no Slavic woman does her makeup this way. Do you want to know why? Because the Slavic makeup was pretty much just extreme amount of red blush, very fair skin, and sometimes even white eyelashes, suggesting that you've been out in the cold. What I think Slavic makeup was meant to look like is when you're in Russia and you're freezing. But that's very important to remember that Slavic women aren't just Russian, and we don't all look the same. And I don't know, I just thought this was very funny, but the reason why all the women were saying that we don't do our makeup this way is because it's not very wearable. And it's because Slavic women don't really do their makeup. Like, when I meet with my Czech friends, I'm always the one most done up. And even that, compared to England, where I live, is nothing. I actually remember when I still lived in halls, my English friends was telling me how she thought that all of us Czech girls, because there were 4 Czech girls, are drop dead gorgeous because we're natural. Like, she quote unquote say, we are just all fake tan, fake eyelashes, fake nails. You just all look natural. And that is true, I think. I don't know where it's coming from, because it's not like Czech women don't take care of themselves. I feel like there's another, I don't know, this is kind of, and I can't actually answer this myself, but it's kind of a schizophrenic question of, for example, my family or women in my family from both sides are very into their looks in terms of being dolled up, not like, oh, I have to lose weight, but rather, oh, I have to put on a little bit of makeup to go out. But I also noticed that my friends don't really wear makeup. I don't actually have a single Czech friend. No, I have one who studies makeup and hair design. But other than that, whenever we meet up, they usually wear foundation if they wear foundation. And that's only when they have acne, for example, or they have just a little bit of a skin condition. But those who don't, never seen them wearing foundation. Then they wear mascara. I don't think any of them does their eyebrows. I don't think I've ever seen... Okay, I've seen one friend wearing blush. I genuinely don't know where the Slavic girl trend came from. But I think the reason why it came is... Well, I think there's 2 reasons. First one is that we are making the beauty and fashion overcomplicated. And I think at this point we're kind of looking at other countries other than America and just seeing how simple they are. And I think this is exactly why French beauty and French style is still so popular, because it's simple. As I said before, it's the same thing with Slavic girls. They are also simple. They're mostly very natural looking. The only reason is that France has much richer and much more famous, much more popular fashion history. Even today, most of the most known, most famous, most admired fashion brands are French. For example, Coco Chanel, Dior, Hermes, you name it. But essentially, French fashion is nothing special, really. It's not even that elegant. It's just, as I said a million times by now, it's quick and it's easy, and it's wearable. Another reason for this is also because we're so hyper-fixated on America and on England that we don't really realize there's a word outside of two nations. I feel like France, because it started as a trendsetter, it never really had the need to be influenced by other countries. It's always been here as this ultimate elegant fashion that we always come back to it once we don't know what to do. We are constantly looking for something new, for something new, really, for something different. And that's, I think, is why the fashion and the beauty as well just keeps coming to circles and just keeps coming back. It's because there's only so much of new things you can think of and you can invent in the fashion. And so we are coming back to what we've already seen, but at the point it's something new. And at this point, it's new to be just very simple and just very natural. I think in the world full of Kardashians and full of plastic surgeries, full of the hunt for perfection, Slavic women, French women, and any other nationalities are interesting simply because they are themselves. I had a guy telling me that he thinks I'm good looking because I look like a human, and at the moment that he said it to me, I was wearing sweatpants, tracksuit actually, and I didn't do my makeup. I looked messy. I literally just went to a shop from my house where I was doing uni work, I think, or I've just been working the entire day. I didn't look my best at all. And I was looking at it, I was like, oh, even now, do I look better than Megan Fox? And he goes, yeah, because you look like a human. She's just too much. And I don't think there's anything wrong with being too much. Like, don't get me wrong. If your lips are small and lip filler is making you happy, go for it. Absolutely amazing. Good for you. I don't think plastic surgeries are bad, or in some moderate, healthy extent they aren't at all. But it's important to remember that there's more types of beauty, more types of fashionable, more types of... Oh, that's it actually, beauty and fashionable. Because not everyone is going to look different. Jane Birkin was beautiful. Naomi Campbell is beautiful. I am beautiful. Lucy Liu is beautiful. And none of us look the same. And everyone is different. I remember there was a quote that I heard that... What was it? Spring flowers are beautiful, but so is winter snow, or something like that. Which basically means what I'm saying now. There are different types of beauty, and there's something different for everyone. And what I think we should be looking at the moment is probably going back to our roots a bit more. We don't need to try look for perfection in other countries, because we have different styles of living. I can actually say this. As an immigrant who lives in England, I see the difference between my way of thinking very much and my way of living compared to the English way of thinking and English way of living. And I have to say I did adapt some of it, but I also keep a lot that I have from my upbringing. And this is something that, affects the aspect of your everyday life and of much more important things than just fashion, because fashion at the end of the day is just fashion. If we just stop comparing ourselves or just stop pushing ourselves to look a certain way that it's impossible for us to look, then everyone would be happier. And I'm not saying we can't take inspirations, that's a different thing. Obviously, take an inspiration from anywhere you want, but accommodate it to what suits you, what works for you, and that applies to fashion, beauty, lifestyle, everything. The hype behind French beauty is just how very authentic it is. So I think what I'm trying to say is take inspiration from French style, take inspiration from Argentinian style, take inspiration from wherever you want, but don't try to make yourself fit a standard or fashion that you can't physically, because it's nothing that is authentic and natural for you. And if you do that, you will be just as stylish as any French person. Plus, as it works in the world of fashion and beauty, don't worry, your nation will come to style eventually. Even if it's just a brief trend, you will end up trending. And in today's In today's episode, we are going to be talking about why is French. Why. In today's episode, we'll be talking. Myself. In today's episode, we'll be talking about why is the word of. In today's episode, we will be talking. That's not even English, or it would be more of a anomaly. Is that a word? More of a what's the word when something's original? Unique.